12. January, 1965. Dearest Suzie, how are you and the boys getting along? I hope you're all right. I haven't had a letter from you now in 4 days. What is the matter? Yesterday, I had to take another ship to W-1 to be repaired. I had to stay up there overnight. One thing I really get enough over here is moving around. Sunday, I had to take a check ride. It was quite unexpected, but I passed it with no sweat, so now I am an instructor pilot. How about that? A W-1 IP. We got in 7 new warrants today, so I know I'm going to be pretty busy for a while. We only have 3 IPs in the company, and we will have to check all these new people out. Well, there isn't much happening here. I got Charlie a rabies shot today and had a long talk with the veterinarian. There's a good chance that if he is in good health when I get ready to go home, I'll be able to take him right along with me for very little expense. If I can, do you want me to? I don't want you to think I'm complaining because you've been pretty good about writing, but when I don't hear from you at least every couple of days, I start to panic. I will close for now, sending you all my love. I miss you very much. Sincerely, Bill. In this letter, we first hear about Popi becoming an instructor pilot. As I've previously mentioned, after he got back from Vietnam, he was offered the chance to be an instructor in the States, but gave it up knowing he would not train people fully, and that they would be subjected to what he went through in Vietnam, or worse. But he seems to be excited here. He's happy to be a W-1 instructor pilot, and was perhaps excited to spend his time training new pilots, which meant he wasn't spending his time doing other things. We also see him ask Meemaw about bringing Charlie back to the States with him. I find this so fascinating. Is Charlie a pet? Is he a souvenir? What sort of life did Popi see him reasonably having living in the United States around his wife and 3 young children? There's no way you'd want to raise a kid near a monkey, even if it was one you loved and spent time with. If he had stayed in the military, did he expect the Army to let him keep Charlie on some base? It is with this question that you can't help but feel some sort of pity for Popi. His only real sort of distraction or entertainment becomes his friend, who is a monkey. He desperately tries to bring him back to ordinary life, but is shut out. He isn't allowed to. How many people felt the same way? Did my other grandfather? Also, does stuff like this still happen today? You hear stories of veterans bringing back stray dogs from war zones. Are there other animals? Is this a unique case just found in Vietnam? Finally, I'll point out how he notes her lack of letters. Though at the end of his letter, he apologizes for asking about why she isn't writing to him as much as he'd like, this, as with many other things, is a constant motif in his writings. For contemporary audiences, this anxiety may seem undue or unfair, but we live in the information age. We live in a period of constant global communication. There are essentially no limits to communicating with other people. You can video chat with anyone around the world and speak to them in real time, seeing their face and hearing their voice. Meanwhile, merely 60 years ago, he was lucky to get a photograph and to hear a recording of his son's voice on a magnetic strip situated inside a plastic cassette tape. Even for people old enough to remember these days, or to remember a time before cell phones, this expression of frustration from Popi may seem futile. But what else does he have to look forward to? You may remember the days before all of this communication, but there may still be a lot you've forgotten. This may be a stupid point to make, but you're listening to me anyway. I binged all of Seinfeld a few years ago. I made the observation that had it not been for answering machines on home phones, I don't think the plots for episodes of 90% of Seinfeld, Friends, or other 90s sitcoms would have been possible. There was enough drama caused by those. Imagine how much more slowly things used to be even before that. How much more time you'd spend anxiously waiting for the postman to come by and deliver a letter. How let down you'd feel when it's been days and you haven't gotten any new word from your wife on the other side of the world. It's just a lot to consider for a contemporary listener. The photo I chose for today depicts a helicopter flying low to the ground. It holds 4 soldiers, 2 pilots and 2 people I assume to be gunners. They're looking at the camera and smiling. Perhaps they're going on a training mission. If I were the guys in the back, I would hope it wasn't an auto-rotation. I'm Alex Lowy, and I hope you have enjoyed listening to this episode of Dearest Suzie, and receiving messages from the past that my Poppy wrote exactly 60 years ago. I sincerely appreciate your time and interest. Please consider following the podcast on your preferred platform, and if you're enjoying it, I kindly ask that you take the time to rate the show and leave a review. Also, please follow the project on YouTube, X, and Instagram. All likes, comments, shares, and reviews will help grow the reach of this story. The links for these things should be in the description of this episode. Please feel free to email me at dearestsuziepodcast@gmail.com if you have anything you'd like to say. I'd love to chat or to hear about your stories as well. Thank you for listening, and God bless.